So as most of you guys know, I have been making a ton of AFL videos as of late, and if I'm going to be really honest, I've been trying to be a little bit more interesting with some of the topics that I, of course, cover, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I've ran out of ideas. I have searched all over the internet for some AFL content ideas. I think I ended up on X videos or something like that, literally just trying to find ideas for AFL content. But one thing I remembered as a kid that I always found interesting was who did all of my favorite AFL players actually go for as a kid? When they were my age, who did they, of course, go and support before they were drafted into the AFL? And by my age, I meant like when I was 12, not in my 20s like I am now. Right now, I think about more important things, like when the new Abala Danger video is going to come out, or when GTA 6 will drop. Again, I'm legitimately still waiting, but I've decided to do my extensive research, go through a bunch of interviews, go through a bunch of pictures. Literally, I feel like I know more about these AFL players than I know about myself. And look, it's a bit creepy. If one of these blokes I talk about today wants to put a restraining order on my head, I legitimately wouldn't even be surprised. We've got a couple of Tigers players here. Trent Cotchin actually was a big Geelong fan. Dustin Martin, Richmond's greatest player of all time, was a massive St Kilda fan and would wear a Saints jersey to every training session he basically went to, and every time he was kicking a footy, he was seen with it on. Jack Higgins was also a massive St Kilda fan, therefore facilitating a trade there. Again, some people who supported Richmond, you got Marcus Bontempelli and Nat Fyfe, two of the greatest players of all time. Interestingly enough, apparently Nat Fyfe, who grew up in WA, was a massive Richmond fan, I think partially because of Matthew Richardson, and apparently hated Fremantle growing up. Again, I don't know if that's true. I tried not to look too in-depth because, again, I know I made a joke about this earlier, but I really don't actually want a restraining order. Sam Walsh was actually a Brisbane fan, while Darcy Parish was a Collingwood fan. Maurice Rioli Jr. of the Richmond Tigers was a massive Richmond fan because his dad obviously played for them. Tex Walker, the longtime captain of the Adelaide Football Club, not only a legend for them, but was a massive Adelaide fan when he was a lot younger as well. So I bet you could only tell the disappointment he had when he lost to the Tigers in the grand final. The captain of the St Kilda Football Club, Jack Steele, was actually a massive fan of their rivals Collingwood, while Hunter Clark was a fan of Richmond, and St Kilda free agent Josh Battle was, interestingly enough, a fan of the Hawthorn Football Club as a kid. Again, if you're wondering why I'm saying this is pretty interesting, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that guy is literally joining Hawthorn like the second he gets in the 2024 free agency. So that's pretty funny. Maybe if you support a team, there's a chance you do end up later on. I guess Jack Higgins and Josh Battle have now proven that. But someone who didn't prove that, Tom Lynch, who was a massive Collingwood fan as a kid. But when it came down to Collingwood or Richmond on who he was going to, of course, sign with, he decided to pick Richmond because he claimed they had the better future and he felt like he was more chance, to win, which I guess he was. He won 2 flags for them. But if you ask the common thinking man, it was probably because Richmond held up a heavier bag that contained more money than what Collingwood's did. Tom Green was also a massive Richmond fan because his grandfather played for the Tigers, I believe actually winning 4 flags for them, while Dion Prestia, who picked Richmond in 2016, or 2015 off-season, was actually a massive Melbourne Demons fan. Apparently, Jordan De Goey went for Richmond, which I find very, very funny. I would not have expected that at all. While Collingwood great Scott Pendlebury, arguably their greatest player of all time, was a massive Melbourne fan. Again, this is no shock to anyone because this man glazes this football club every time he gets an opportunity. He literally said Scott Pendlebury was the GOAT, but Christian Petrarca was a big Collingwood fan as a kid. Tom Powell apparently was a Gold Coast fan growing up. I mean, that's the real big one. I really don't fucking believe. I don't know if that's true at all. Oscar Allen was a big West Coast fan. Again, I think commonly known to be in the controversy that Oscar Allen was reportedly supposed to be a top 15 pick, but he fell to 25 because apparently he told Melbourne teams that he wanted to stay in Western Australia. Therefore, he got to West Coast. Whether that rumor is ever true or not, I don't know, but him being a West Coast fan does not help his case with that. Some former players here, apparently Cade Simpson supported the Collingwood Football Club, while West Coast legend, and arguably one of the greatest players of all time, Ben Cousins, was actually a massive Geelong fan. Matthew Pavlich was actually a big Crows fan growing up and living in South Australia. Luke Hodge and Bob Murphy both went for the Richmond Football Club, with Bob Murphy actually saying in an interview that Matthew Richardson was his all-time favourite player and a big reason he went for them. Apparently Max Gawn was a big Hawthorn supporter, while James Harms went for the Melbourne Football Club apparently, and then ended up leaving them to the Western Bulldogs. So I guess more evidence that whoever you go for really doesn't matter at all. Again, I hope you guys learned something in this episode. A centre-half bench talks about random shit on AFL. I don't know. Definitely let me know your thoughts and opinions all on this down below if you guys enjoyed this video or not. Again, if you want a part 2 to this, let me know down below. But yeah, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for all the latest sports content, sports news. Subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channels, which will all be getting linked in the description down below. But I guess I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.